I live surrounded by empty houses by Princess V. My neighborhood hasn't seen a wild animal in years, until more recently, that is. I live in a pretty rural area in a housing development that obviously hit its peak in the 90s and has been in a steady decline since then. The older neighbors with their kids away at college or starting their own families tell me that this development was meant to be the first in a massive maze of cul-de-sacs and residential streets. But when the housing market crashed, they just stopped building, thus allowing our lone development of roughly 15 or 20 houses to be surrounded by skeletons, partially constructed but never to be finished. It absolutely killed resale value, but, being quite frank, that's probably the only reason my girlfriend and I were able to move into a large home for such a low cost. We've lived here for over a year now, and in all of that time, despite the farms and forests around us, we hadn't seen a single wild animal, not even a stray cat. I didn't think it was weird until a few weeks ago when the head of Neighborhood Watch came to our door. He told us that some of the others in the neighborhood had been complaining about hearing something walking around late at night, about their dogs barking at 2 in the morning or waking up to find their trash has been knocked over and gone through. A few of the very unlucky have even found scratches on their front door, or that the gate to their backyard had been broken open sometime in the night. We're thinking it's a wild animal, he assured us. All signs point to that. Besides, you can't be surprised with the woods out here and all. A couple of them say it seems to be like a larger animal, maybe a horse escaped from a nearby farm or something, has been hiding out over here. My girlfriend and I kinda shrugged and nodded as he told us to keep an eye out, but then we forgot about the whole thing and went back to cooking dinner. We hadn't heard anything suspicious. Last night, I got a call from some of my college friends to see a band play a few hours away. I think it was 2, tops. One of them was going to the designated driver, and we'd go up early to tailgate and whatnot. My girlfriend urged me to go. Before leaving here, we had enjoyed busy lives in the city, and after a year being in the country without much to do, was growing a little old. So with her blessing, I went. The concert turned out to be a complete and total disaster. The main act arrived later than usual, and then afterwards our designated driver declared he'd had a few beers and was too buzzed to drive home. When he did finally feel like he was ready to leave, we sat in a solid 2 hours of painfully slow traffic in the parking lot. I got home around 3 in the morning. My girlfriend, who hadn't responded to any of my texts in the last hour or so, was probably fast asleep. I waved goodbye to my friends as they dropped me off in front of my house and drove off, and headed back towards their homes in the city, and I tried the front door. It was locked. I had my key, but I could tell from the way that the door caught the deadbolt was locked as well. That was odd, as my girlfriend knew I was coming home tonight, but I shrugged it off as maybe she had forgotten or planned to be awake when I came home to unlock it for me. Either way, she was definitely asleep now, so I tried to think of another way to get into the house. All of the other doors would be locked, but we had one of those garage doors that had a code programmed into it, and I knew we'd never lock the door connecting the garage to the house. It was a little temperamental, I knew from past experiences, but I figured it was worth a try. I punched in the code 3 times, but with no avail. The door wasn't budging. Defeated, I went and sat on the front porch. It was nearing 4 in the morning on a Sunday. I was hungover and I had to be at work in 4 hours. I leaned my head against the front door, closing my eyes and thinking that maybe I could get at least some sleep out here when I heard it. It was a distinctive sound of somebody dragging their feet against concrete or something, maybe toenails, clicking against the cement in the road. My ears perked up, but I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from, as it echoed through the neighborhood, bouncing off the skeletons of those empty houses. I remembered what the guy from the neighborhood watch said about there possibly being some animals in the neighborhood, and I hoped it was a stray dog or cat or something. I wouldn't know what to do should I see a bear hustling towards me down the middle of the road at 4 in the morning. Instead, what appeared under a streetlight only one house down from mine was much worse. I think it was a person, but not a person like you or I would know. It walked on all fours, its back hunched slightly to accommodate its stance, and its fingernails and toenails were unruly and long. It was bald all over and entirely naked, its limbs long and gangly with yellow skin gleaming under the streetlight. Its mouth opened and a long lizard-like tongue appeared as it let out a long screech. Although it was guttural, it was also high-pitched and whiny, a mix of a dog's growl and a baby's cry. It was the most terrifying thing I've heard in my life. I ran to the garage door, truly believing this thing was going to kill me, and began to punch in the code over and over again, begging it to open. The thing is, when the code doesn't go through, the keypad makes a little beeping sound to let you know. It's not very loud, kind of like a phone vibrating or a car starting up, except it was loud enough to get this thing's attention. From under the street lamp, the creature looked at me with thin black eyes, still on all fours, and it started running towards me, snarling like a wolf. Terrified, I punched in the code over and over again until finally, thankfully, the door opened. I bolted into my garage, running to shut it from the inside. As I reached the button to close the door, I could see the creature was in the middle of the short driveway. In a final and horrifying motion, it raised to stand on two legs. So close to me, I could see how thin it was. I could tell that its tailbone protruded to the point where it looked like a short, skinny tail, and that its skin was scaly and wet with sweat. It glared at me with thin, beady eyes, but did not move to attack as the garage door slowly shut behind me. I was thankful for that. I got inside and double-checked all of the locks, locking the door between the garage and the house for maybe the first time since I moved here. Confirming my suspicions, my girlfriend was in the living room as the TV played some infomercial dimly. She was asleep, and looked like she had been for a while. I found I can't sleep, however, at least not tonight, so I got onto Reddit and wrote this, sick with the feeling that no one but you guys will believe me. After I'm done writing this, I have a feeling I'm going to check out some real estate sites and see how my girlfriend would feel about leaving our jobs and moving back into the city. All I know is that nothing like this ever happened there. Thing is, I can't find my phone. I was playing with it on the front porch before I saw that thing, and I'm almost positive I left it out there, but I'm too scared to go check. I'm terrified that thing will be on the other side of the window. Or, God forbid, the door, waiting to catch another glimpse of me. I don't know what this is, but I know it's not an animal, and I have a feeling it's living out there, in the hundreds of half-assembled houses that surround us. I wonder if there's more of them. I wonder if there's some kind of newly evolved species, or if they've sat there for centuries, stalking us silently at 3 or 4 in the morning. I wonder if that's what dogs bark at when their owners are asleep. What sends children running into the parents' room in the middle of the night. I don't know if they can truly harm us, or if like some kind of fairy tale boogeyman, they're only here to frighten us. Either way, I don't plan on finding out. Just beware of the skeleton houses, especially at night. I think that's where they like to hide.